You know I had to come back with more hot takes for the day. If you missed my earlier hot takes video from this morning, feel free to check it out on the end screen of this video or just visiting my channel profile. I also announced a big giveaway, 5 giveaways to be exact, which will be happening sporadically until the channel hits 10,000 subscribers. So make sure that you're subscribed and have the bell notifications on so you don't miss a video when those giveaways will be taking place. As I mentioned, I'll be giving away a jersey, a gift card, a Scottie Pippen piece of memorabilia, a 2021 NBA Edition Bulls hat, and finally, Bulls tickets for 2 this upcoming season. So make sure you don't miss out. With that said, let's continue with our hot takes. So what's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. This hot take comes to us from Thomas the Baller. The Chicago Bulls trade Lauri, Markkanen, and Coby White for Malcolm Brogdon or Myles Turner. The Pacers need more perimeter shooting so Coby White and Markkanen can solve their problems. Also, we need a point guard, so this is a win-win. Well, let me address the last part of your take in the piece in regards to that this is a point guard, Malcolm Brogdon, that we're talking about. Yes, Brogdon can play point guard, and he's really more of a combo guard. I think he's most effective as a 2 guard, so I don't know if he would be the answer for the Bulls in that role. And you're not going to get Brogdon for Markkanen and Coby White. The Pacers are going to want more than that for someone of Brogdon's caliber. Now, for Myles Turner, I could see that being enough to get it done because you are right in the sense that the Pacers need more perimeter shooting. And this Pacers team, although good and with talent, they don't really fit well together, as evidenced in the fact that they missed the playoffs this season. So I don't think there, will be drastic changes to the Pacers roster, but there will be changes. And likely Turner and Brogdon will be on the trading block. I mean, we already saw that the Pacers were trying to ship Brogdon to the Sixers for Ben Simmons, but I actually think Turner would fit better with the Bulls, especially if the Bulls aren't able to re-sign Tice, because they will need his defense and rim protection next to Vucevic, and Markkanen and Coby likely would be enough for that, although I do hesitate on giving up on Coby this early in his career. I would much rather do Markkanen and say Satoransky or a second-round pick than include Coby for Myles Turner. Next up, we've got Doug McBuckets 20. Bulls should sign Doug McDermott. Of course, no. But seriously, I actually have been saying this since the beginning of the offseason. When looking at free agent targets, the Bulls should pursue someone like Doug McDermott. He's a guy that the Bulls should look at to sign on a cheap deal that provides some sharp shooting and offense off the bench. I mean, the Bulls are still going to need rotational players, and McDermott could be a good piece for that, especially if you're talking about taking away some of that offensive shooting, outside shooting specifically, that you would potentially lose with Markkanen if he does in fact leave the Bulls. Next up, we've got Bulls fan. If D Rose doesn't get injured, he becomes a multi-year MVP and is the undisputed GOAT. Sorry, my guy, but I very much disagree with this assessment. I mean, even if Rose never got injured, I do think he would have gone on to be one of the best players in the league. Very possible he wins another MVP and a title or 2. But the fact of the matter is, the game has evolved into something that Rose wasn't necessarily as good at, although he would have still been a very, very great player and would have adapted nicely as we see today. But he wouldn't be as of a dominant player as we saw back in his MVP season. The face of the league with the evolution of the game, going to outside shooting and floor spacing would have been challenging for him. Again, not saying that he would have just fallen off as a result. I think had he never gotten injured, he still would have been a superstar and a very, very impactful player. But to say that he would have gone on to be the undisputed GOAT, no, I don't see how he would have passed Jordan even if he had stayed healthy. He just wasn't on that level, and I don't know if he would have ever gotten there. And that's not a knock on Derrick Rose, it just shows the greatness of Michael Jordan and the fact that he would just be unmatched to so many players who ever have played in the NBA. Next up, we've got Brandon Rogers. Bulls will trade into the lottery and draft the point guard they're looking for. So I know some people have been talking about the Bulls trading up into the lottery since they lost their lottery pick to the Magic, but I don't see how this would make sense for the Bulls, in the sense that by the Bulls trading for Vucevic to pair alongside Lavine, they need to find players who are ready now, and not project players who are going to need years to develop. And unless the Bulls are trading up to get the number 1 pick to get Cade Cunningham, which the Pistons would never give up, then the Bulls, if they're looking to make trades, they're going to trade to find established players that are already ready to compete now and in their primes, rather than looking to trade pieces to get higher draft picks in a crapshoot lottery. Next up, we've got Asad Siddiqui. Bulls should try to trade for Malcolm Brogdon. Similar to the one that we just had previously. And what I will say, it depends on what the Bulls have to give up to get him, because I do really like Brogdon's game. I think he's really turned out to be a very, very well-rounded player in the league, but the Pacers are likely going to want a lot more for him, and he's on a fairly hefty contract, making nearly $22 million a year, which makes it more challenging for the salaries to match and for the Bulls to have the cap space to bring him in. And of course, you don't want to sacrifice your future. So I like the idea of trading for Brogdon, even though he is a bit injury prone, but not if he's going to require too much of a haul in return in order to get him. And as I was kind of alluding to before, I'm not sure he would fit the best with Lavine, as he's also a pretty ball-dominant guard that likes to score. He's a combo guard, but he's more effective at the two. But yeah, I mean, trading for a guy that averaged 21 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 5.9 assists on efficient shooting, sure, I'll take that as long as we don't have to give up one of our untouchable assets. All right, let's do one more for this week anyway, and a huge shout out to all those who have been leaving their takes in the comments or in the Discord. This one comes to us from Toby15. If we sign a decent point guard, Zach Lavine will improve to 30 points per game. The Bulls will make a top 6 seed in the East and win a tight series in the first round of the playoffs. So if the Bulls actually sign, as you put it, a decent point guard, which I assume anyway, means a playmaking point guard, a true point guard who can facilitate and get great looks for guys like Lavine and Vucevic. But if the Bulls do sign that point guard that we're hoping to get, to be honest, I actually hope Lavine doesn't average over 30 points per game. Because if you actually look at the Bulls' stats as a team that they performed last year, they performed better and won more games when Lavine scored under 30 points. And I think it was also, it was a certain number of shot attempts. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but it was a certain number of shot attempts that he would put up that the Bulls were more likely to lose. On top of that, Lavine is likely not going to be putting up as many points as last season and the season before that, because he now actually has help on offense with the likes of Vucevic. Hopefully an even further improved Patrick Williams going into his second season. And if we're also talking about adding a decent point guard, you would expect that point guard to also provide some scoring as well. So I don't think it's realistic to think that Lavine will average over 30 points per game, nor do I think that would actually be good for the team and the overall success, as you would hope more guys would be getting involved under a playmaking point guard and not just having Lavine take on the brunt of the scoring. As for your take on the Bulls finishing as a 6 seed or a top 6 seed, I mean, it's really up in the air right now because we don't know who is going to be added to this Bulls roster, who will be returning just yet, but the hope is this team will be improved and can make a 6 seed at a minimum. As for winning the first round through a tough series, I mean, a 6 through 8 seed likely means they're going to have to face one of the Bucks, the Nets, or the Sixers, or even the Hawks, and that will be a tall order for the Bulls. But you never know, a lot can happen between now and the end of the regular season next year. So who knows, maybe the Bulls can get a big time free agent this offseason, and that completely changes things. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, I'm going to end it there for this week, guys. Apologies if I didn't get to your hot take. Don't worry, I'll try to include it for next week. Feel free to leave any takes that you have on any of my videos. I'll be continuing this series every week throughout the offseason. As always, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, and I post daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I will catch you in the next one.